Hi, want to enhance the color of your painting and protect the surface? You can varnish it. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Linda Paul, an Arizona artist with another quick tip for new artists. Today we're going to talk about varnishing your painting. This is something that is advisable to not only help protect the surface of your painting, but also enhance it. I typically use a product called Gamvar. This is from a company called Gamsol that has a number of products, and it comes in a variety of surfaces: matte, gloss, semi-gloss, and so forth. This is a product that most of the artists I know locally use and is very commonly used throughout the country. It's a low odor product, non-toxic, and that's one of the reasons why it's a very popular product. To do the varnishing, I use a brush that I have specifically reserved for a single use, and that is to varnish my paintings. And it's a very soft bristle brush. This is what I use. There's a number of other brushes that people use. A lot of them use the sponge brush. The important thing is that you use a brush that doesn't leave strong brush strokes, even though the Gamvar is pretty much self-leveling. So let's get started. First of all, make sure you're on a level surface. Very important because you don't want the varnish to puddle in any particular place because it'll be extra shiny. So first things first, make sure that your painting is dry. Acrylic paintings, of course, dry very quickly, so not much of a problem, but an oil painting is going to take a while to completely dry. If you use a medium that helps speed up the drying, there's going to be a lot less time required for that drying process than if you use a medium like walnut oil, which retards the drying. So typically within 2 weeks to a month, your painting is going to be completely dry. So first thing I do, because that painting has been sticking around somewhere waiting to dry, is it gets dusty. So let's make sure that we have a dust-free painting. Then I take and I put a little bit of that Gamvar in a separate container. A lot of artists will demonstrate and say, just take it out of the bottle and pour it on the canvas. If you're using a stretched canvas, you're going to find that it is not entirely taut or level in every space. So I find that if you pour it on the painting, that if there's a little bit of a depression somewhere, that Gamvar is going to puddle in that area, and that's really difficult to deal with. So you're going to have a result that is not a uniform sheen. So I will either dip my brush into it and then brush on, or in this case, I've got a brush that's a little too wide to do that, so I'm going to pour that into another container. And a paper container is just fine because you're going to use it only for a short time. And then start in an area. Use uniform broad strokes. And since it doesn't take a real long time to dry, it's workable for a while. So once you get the entire canvas covered, then you can use longer strokes to even it out completely. So I've got my first coat, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got long, broad strokes here that overlap slightly. Make sure that you're in an area where you get good light across the painting so you can see any areas that you may have missed. And also, if you've got the good lighting, you will also see if there's any brush strokes that are not brush strokes, any bristles that have come out of the brush that you're using. Since I use this kind of Japanese soft brush, I do have to watch for that, even though when I clean it, I try to take out any loose bristles. But every now and then, I see a little bit of a bristle that has been caught in the varnish. So typically, you can just kind of pick them out and then go over that area again. So first coat here, and we're going to let it dry. While it's drying, take your brush, encase it in some foil. That way you don't have to rinse the brush and wash the brush out right away. So since this is sealed tight, when I go to do my next coat, I can just unwrap this and continue to use it. One of the nice features of using Gamvar is that at some later date, if you see there's something with that painting that you don't like and you want to rework it, you can actually paint over the top. Or you can take a little thinner, and I use the Gamsol thinner. You can take a Q-tip or a brush and you can remove some of that surface, and so then you can rework that painting. Since using a varnish on your painting enhances the color quality and gives a little more depth to the painting, I recommend you do 2 or even 3 coats. I suppose there are people who might use even more coats, but in a typical sense, I think 2 or 3 coats is fine. You might want to do the brush strokes in the opposite direction with the next coat, and then again come back with your final coat. And that's what I do. I do about 3 coats. So as I've done this, I think you probably could see how much richer this surface looks compared to when I started. I hope this was helpful information. Stay tuned for more quick tips for new artists. Thank you.